This podcast is brought to you by the Ginger Camel Network. Visit us at www.gingercamelnetwork.com. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're listening, whatever time you're watching. Welcome to Your Onion Podcast Show. Today we have a very special guest. His name is Daniele Fanin.
Yes, correct.
Yes. So Daniele, I like my guests to introduce themselves,
okay.
so I don't get it wrong.
Exactly, and I might get it wrong about myself, but I'll try not to.
No.
So yeah, my name is Daniele Fanin. I'm an Italian, been living in Qatar for almost 3 years now. Obviously, I'm here for work.
Obviously.
And I work for an Italian bank that opened a branch here exactly 3 years ago, more or less. And I'm here basically doing that.
Excellent. And your role? What is your role in the bank?
I am the general manager of the Intesa Sanpaolo branch in Qatar, in QFC, in Qatar Financial Center, actually. And that's what I do for a living.
So, on a day-to-day basis,
day-to-day
what your responsibility?
Let's say, general management of the activities of the branch, which includes both commercial contacts, regulatory contacts, a bit of everything, really. So,
okay. Well,
as the name says, it's very general management.
Well, we go into more detail later. So let's go back in time. So whereabouts in Italy are you from?
I'm from Verona, actually.
From?
Verona.
Verona?
Yes, the city that enrolled William Shakespeare as the main PR.
Ah.
Romeo and Juliet city.
Yes?
Yes. I'm very proud of it, actually.
Very nice. And what did you study when you were
I studied law at the beginning.
Why?
I had a degree in law.
Why? What was that?
Because you have to know it in order to break it, I could say. But no, not because of that. No, because I thought it was a fairly comprehensive view of human relationships. And it could be useful to find actually a work. Doesn't mean that was my dream to study law, but it was what I did.
Yeah.
After that, when I finished law, after I had a law degree, I studied also political science, more out of interest than for practical reasons, with a major in modern history.
Yeah?
Yeah. So I try to combine practicality and reflection on what goes on.
And was this in Verona as well? Was this?
No, because at the time there were no these faculties in Verona, so I did both in Padova, which is 80 kilometers east of Verona.
Okay, very good.
So, small city, but with a very old university, actually, the second oldest university in the world.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
First one is Bologna, and then is an offspring of Bologna started Padova in the beginning of the 13th century.
And what's it like growing up in Italy?
Growing up in Italy, I mean, it's difficult to say because it was the only growing up I had.
Well,
so
yeah.
It's difficult to compare. But I would say, looking back now, because at the time, obviously, when you grow up, you don't have this sort of helicopter's view possibility. I would say that one of the features that is probably dominant in a Italian growing up or coming of age is probably the chance, amongst many shortcomings of the country, to see beauty every day because of the history of particularly coming from a very old city. You had the chance of basically in your daily life, in your daily errands, to go through monuments and palaces and stuff that people actually travel the world there to see.
Yeah, it's on your doorstep.
And this is interesting because you don't notice it, but I do hope that it's got sort of imbued in you, and it gives a taste, or it can give a taste at least, for beauty, history. So that is what probably is a feature that now I appreciate.
You appreciate.
Yes.
You
at the time, maybe.
It's
I mean, when you're a kid. Yeah, you pass every day in front. Verona is very famous for the arena, of course, for the opera, for the Roman theater, Roma Amphitheater, actually, that hosts the summer opera season. And yeah, you see it every day. It's part of the don't know, the scenery of the environment. And then when you grow up, you start realizing that, yes, this is for you the daily bread in a way, but there are people that travel the world to see it. And then you start thinking a bit more, and maybe it helps.
Yeah. I spent 2.5 years in Rome.
I spent 3 years in Rome before coming to Doha.
But it was funny because, that was the first time I lived abroad. And, the Romans are a different breed compared to everyone else outside of the capital. Because they were quite, and it's like Londoners, they were quite sure, they just get on with their business. But actually, when you step out of the city, I felt people were much more laid back, more relaxed, friendlier.
No, that's true. I lived in Rome. Okay, before coming to Doha, I was posted to Rome for 3 years. In my earlier times, I lived for a couple of months in various Italian cities because of my job. Italy is a country, definitely, that in itself has got quite major differences in terms of approach to life, culture.
And there's a whole north-south thing
as well. There's the north-south. Like Rome is in the center, so it's somewhere in between, probably. Yeah, there is. In a way, there is this kind of juxtaposition, in a way, even in many countries. In the UK is probably reversed. The south of England is the north of Italy.
Absolutely.
But it's true. It's true, particularly because I would say in Italy is a bit truer than in other countries, I guess. Not because I want Italy to be considered special, but because really, historically, Italy, which was unified about 150 years ago, something like that, but it had an history of a very fragmenting domination by other countries, and that in a way, for centuries, and that in a way had an impact on the way that let's call it the sort of Italian psychology, Italian culture has developed, for sure. So there is a strong reliance, I would say, in Italians in their hometown or the region around the hometown rather than on a broader...
On the whole.
Yeah.
Okay.
For instance, I always remember one of the experiences that I had when I first moved abroad. My first posting abroad was London, actually.
Yeah.
And where I lived regularly, let's say stably. I was surprised because one of the main topic, sort of chit-chat opening that you got there is what you do and so on. In Italy, very often is where you come from. Sometimes it's sort of revealed by your name or the accent, but this is a very typical topic to open a conversation, where you come from. That is linked probably to the fact that, again, there are strong links between people and where they come from.
No, I love Italy. I think it's a beautiful country.
It is a beautiful country, not the easiest to live, probably, but it is a beautiful country.
It's a different way of living, and with rules and regulations as well. It's a
bit every country.
Absolutely, for sure. So when you graduated.
When I graduated, I practiced law for a bit.
Okay.
Then I moved to the banking sector.
Why the banking sector? Was that just the way
it happened? Really, I mean, as every kid out of university, you look around for a job.
Yeah.
And this one a job that came along.
And was it straight into Sanpaolo or?
Let's say Intesa Sanpaolo is a strange name because it doesn't look like a bank, even if it is. Is the result of a long series of mergers that took place, I would say, in a period of time about 15 years ago, something like that. So I joined in 1984, actually, a bank that has been merged through various other happenings into Intesa Sanpaolo. So I signed only one employment contract so far.
And what was your first position in the bank?
I work actually in the local branch in Verona, my hometown, for a couple of years, and was enrolled in a sort of formative plan whereby for a couple of first 5 years of my job, I was basically following a certain path, formative path in the banking
So
sector.
you weren't at the
I was
desk.
no, I was working. It was
you were?
basically on, let's say, more or less on an average on a given year. My first 5 years were basically 50% of the time actual work and 50% learning.
Oh, okay. So there was a
there
proper
was
structure.
there was a proper structure, yes, that led eventually to me going abroad.
Yeah. I remember when I was in Rome and going to the banks that the people behind the desk were always smoking.
It's not possible anymore.
No.
Funnily enough, it is one law that is enacted in Italy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't smoke in public places.
But it was big.
Yeah, at the time. Maybe.
Yeah, I think it was there 94 to 90.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No, then there has been, and again, funnily enough, it is respected as a law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even in bars now, there's not, you can't.
No, you can't.
Restaurants?
No, and it's not that there is a smoking section. It's really.
Oh wow.
There is
really...
only outside, not inside.
Yeah,
outside you
yeah.
can smoke, of course, but not inside, not indoor.
Wow.
It's a civilized step as a non-smoker.
Oh, absolutely. I know, totally. I was just a casual smoker, but it was always, when I went out.
Yeah, I mean, there were days where people were smoking in the planes.
Yeah.
And now it would look like
and then they pushed
crime.
it to the back. And it still affected the whole circulation of the air.
And now they've been pushed out of
completely.
the plane.
No, it's all good for all of us.
I guess so.
So, looking at the bank, so has Sanpaolo always been an international,
Yes, it is. It is the largest bank in Italy, and it is also the most internationally present bank in Italy.
Yeah.
There are two banks that are basically quite active abroad out of the Italian banks, and one definitely is Intesa Sanpaolo. So it's got a network, a footprint that covers very, very many countries. Inclusive of Qatar.
Well, yeah. So, were you assigned to set the branch up?
Actually, I started the opening process. Yes.
And had you done that before, or was this your first time?
Actually, no. In terms of opening, that was the first time I actually was involved in the very setup of the branch. It was interesting. I was going
to say
in my long career. In my long work, I've been involved in closing down, developing, increasing, reducing. But it was the first time that I actually followed from scratch an opening.
And was it the first time that you actually been working here in the Middle East?
No, I was posted. I spent 8 years in the Gulf back in my.
Oh, really?
Yes. So
I
knew Qatar before Qatar was today, what is today, because I was posted in Abu Dhabi looking after all the Gulf from 95 to 2003.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. At the time, there was no West Bay.
No.
There wasn't where we are now.
No, exactly. So is that something that you planned, in your life to, go live abroad? Is that something that
it's something
you?
that has always been attractive to me. Yes, I mean, definitely.
What is it? Is it just
curiosity,
definitely. Learning different cultures,
seeing other things, other people, other places, other cultures, other way of thinking? Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. It's not. It's not always a bed of roses. There are many thorns, but it's something. Yeah, I think it's what keeps me going.
Do you think you've got the right personality for this kind of role where
At least I survived in various countries. So I lived in 6, 7, 8 countries.
Really?
Yeah. So no, it's the best part of. I don't know. I mean, it's very personal. I got very good friends that never left Verona.
Yeah.
And they are happily ever after.
And do you go back on a regular basis?
Not that much.
No.
I go back, but not that much.
You still got family there?
My sister lives there. Yes.
Yeah. No, when I first met you, you weren't. We were drawn by your, charisma and.
That's. That's a bit too general and too much.
No, but it was. You weren't. When you meet people in the banking sector, there's. they can be quite stiffs.
Rightly so. They
Absolutely.
are.
And you didn't fit into that.
That's one of the best compliments I've ever got, actually. No, I mean, again, first of all, you can say there are rules and there is always one exceptions.
Yeah.
But again, many years ago, I saw a quite poor movie, I would say, but had a very good line. It is the difference between what you do and what you are, which in certain cases might lead to schizophrenic approach, but hopefully it's not my case. But there are more, I think, there should be more to a person than what this person does.
Yeah.
Right? It has to be done professionally, it has to be done properly, to the best, probably a bit more than the best capacity. But still, there are other things that form a person as a whole, not only the daily job.
No, and that shone through completely when we first met you.
Good. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here, I guess.
No, exactly. No, you wouldn't. Because,
but it's true. I mean, generally speaking, I have to say that when you think about bankers, you got this sort of, the color is gray, not without too many shades as well.
No, exactly.
And yeah.
No, my
boring,
dad,
predictable.
No, my dad worked for Barclays International.
Okay. So you know what you're talking about.
So I know what I'm talking about, and I met. Although you meet some interesting characters, but the majority, very.
Yeah, at least when people are in the job, let's say in the position, when they act or they keep up their line of duty, then maybe sometimes there are other things that are more hidden and not always emerge.
So, you're here in Qatar.
I'm in Qatar, yes.
You're in Qatar. What kind of work is Sanpaolo involved with? You're not your typical street bank.
No. So, Sanpaolo, Intesa Sanpaolo here, as I have to say, in most of the countries outside of Italy, does only and exclusively corporate investment banking. Okay. So we don't have ATM, we don't work with private customers. First of all, because the license doesn't allow here, but even if it would, we wouldn't, because it's not the kind of business that in the majority of the countries outside of Italy we do. Intesa Sanpaolo is the largest bank in Italy, is the number one in every category, from retail to corporate to factoring, leasing, everything, insurance. But in terms of working abroad, with few exceptions, historical exception, I would say, in Central Europe, the business is strictly and exclusively corporate investment banking. So this is what we do here as well. So not a lot of customers, but I would say quite structured, complex transaction that we try to do to the best of our capacity.
Yeah. And what was it like, just going back to the whole setting up here in Qatar and coming under QFC as well? What was
that? And we are under the QFC. No, it was, I would say, fairly positive. When you have to deal with regulators all over the world, there must be a certain level of bureaucracy or red tape that's unavoidable, and is probably also correct, right? But all in all, I would say it was a relatively smooth process. It included dealing with our own regulator in Italy and in Europe. Intesa Sanpaolo is a systemic bank, so it's ruled by the ECB, not only by Bank of Italy. And then once they got the green light to open, to actually start the process here with the QFC regulatory authority, it was, all in all, I would say, it was fine.
Yeah,
it was fine. I didn't meet any unbearable hurdles. I didn't find any unsolvable problem. So all in all, I think they are keen to get particularly large corporations here in Qatar.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And they try to, within their rules, of course, they try to help as much as they can. So no, experience was positive.
And are you guys based in the QFC too?
We are still based in the QFC original tower.
Are you moving with them to Misrib?
We'll see. At the moment I'm there. We always scout the market to see whether there are better opportunities or not, but at the moment we are still at the QFC tower one, the old one, the original one.
Yeah. And moving forward, do you see yourself personally here for a long period of time, or are you looking forward to the World Cup and seeing Italy play?
As an Italian,
hopefully they don't miss any penalties.
No, we'll try not to. And we should first of all make it to the final.
How are they doing? I'm not
We are in the right in the European tournament qualifier. So far, so good.
So far, so good.
So far, so good.
Is it a younger team?
It is an average team. Let's say there are very young people and there are more seasoned. So it's a decent blend of experience and youth, as life should be.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
But no, going forward, I mean, we won't change. We won't change the business approach. This is what we do, and this is what we will do.
Yeah.
Whether I will be here for long or not, I don't know, because again, I'm here for my job, so I can be posted anywhere else. I'm not that young, so in any case, there will be retirement one day.
Think,
that's good, but yeah, let's hope there is no retirement age for the heart.
That's true. Yeah,
but no, the line of job will remain the same, whether it will be with me or with somebody else in the future. Am I interested to know how long I will stay? Not too much, to be honest. No. I'm not a great fan of crystal balls. If I would have one, I probably switch it off all the time, because that would clash with my curiosity. If you know everything, what's the point in getting up in the morning?
No, absolutely.
So the business will remain the same. Obviously, we hope to grow. And the first 3 years were incredibly successful, much better, honestly, much better than we were ever expecting. The experiences were really, really positive, beyond and above any forecast, feasibility study, anything. So sometimes there are nice surprises in life.
That's good.
And
so head office is happy.
Head office is happy. Yes, I hope so.
Well, you're still here. So,
I'm still here, I still have a job, so I suppose that they are not too displeased, at least.
No.
And so we hope basically, we started basically from, I have to say, from scratch, because the involvement of Intesa in Qatar before we actually opened the branch was, I wouldn't say zero, but it was very minimal and marginal. And in almost 3 years, we actually made, I think I can say it fairly, our impact in the country, helping both the countries and some corporate in arranging and structuring some decent transactions.
Well, how did you how did you knock on doors and, kind of say that you were here? How did you, was it through QFC themselves helping you to, introduce, or was it through the business council?
No, I would say neither, in the sense that QFC, I mean, they do networking events from time to time. Exactly. Yes, but I wouldn't say that was the main channel. It might have helped marginally, but not the channel. Business council, not too much. I mean, there is an Italian chamber of commerce, but it's not really. Consider that the job that we do is mostly addressed, or is mostly tuned for government entities, large corporations, which usually are not that active in business council, bilateral chamber of commerce.
Okay.
So I would say mostly through really getting in touch with the right corporation and the right contact. So that paid off in the end. It was successful. It could have gone the other way as well. It could have been a desperate failure. Thank God it was decent. So I would say mostly through focusing on what could be the reasonable target for our product, for our approach to business. So trying to see whether really we would make sense for a counterpart, and try to go for that and get in touch with them. And it was positive.
Very good. Well,
I still have a job, and I've not been expelled by the country, so hopefully.
So do you know where you could be posted? Are there any plans, other countries?
There are many countries where we are present.
Is there a roadmap?
No, there is no roadmap. There is no map in terms of posting, let's say. Usually is, rightly so, according to the company's need, where there are either vacancies or strengthening to be made, then according to that, they sort of go for what they think is the appropriate resource, and then the talks start.
Yeah.
So, no, I got no idea really where I can end up next. I know where I've been before, but I don't know where I will be next.
Well, thank you, Daniel. That's we've run out of time.
Okay,
and I really appreciate you coming on and giving us an insight.
It was very pleasant, and I do hope that
it wasn't too bad.
Whoever will have the time to look or listen to us won't be too bored or too disappointed.
No, absolutely not. Can you just show your cufflinks to the camera? Because that's fantastic.
Yeah, that I think made
the
an
little
impression.
Rubber duck.
It was to match the tie. What can I say?
Oh, it's a banana tie.
No, it's ducks, deer, and ducks. Yeah, I like ducks.
You like
lovely
ducks?
Animals.
Do you? Is your apartment full of ducks as well?
No. No. I keep them in my heart, what can I say? Not around.
Okay. Have you got any more interesting ties? Have you got a camel tie?
No, I don't.
Ah, that's something.
I don't. Okay, we'll think about it.
Yeah, we have to think.
A ginger camel, you mean?
Ginger camel, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch up with you maybe this week or next week. Take care. Bye-bye. This podcast has been brought to you by the Ginger Camel Network. Visit us at www.gingercamelnetwork.com.